wondering whether Xero is the right accounting software for your business, or you've logged in and you're feeling overwhelmed, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you what Xero actually does, what it looks like inside, how to get started, and why so many founders, myself included, rely on it to run a profitable, sustainable business. Think of this as your friendly, jargon-free Xero tour. You'll walk away knowing exactly how to make Xero work for you. Before we dive in, a very huge thank you to Xero for sponsoring today's video. I recommend Xero to the businesses that we work with, not just because it's smart, secure, and HMRC compliant, but because it helps you to feel clear, in control, and confident about your numbers. I partnered with Xero to provide my audience a very special discount, so you can visit the link in the description to this video to learn more. Before I show you inside Xero, I thought it would be useful to actually explain what Xero is. So Xero is a cloud-based accounting software, which means that you can manage your business finances from anywhere. Your laptop, your phone, even on the train on the way to a meeting. It's designed for businesses of all shapes and sizes. Freelancers, limited companies, shop owners, creators, agencies, and landlords. Whether you are VAT registered or not, Xero scales with you. It's MTD ready for VAT and income tax. It links directly with your bank and makes collaborating with your accountant a lot easier. So let's get logged in and I'll show you around. So when you log into Xero, this is the screen that you are going to see, and this is your Xero dashboard. I like to think about this as your financial home base. I am an accountant by trade, and a really big part of my job is training business owners on exactly how to use Xero, but also how to get the most out of Xero. So this dashboard is going to be your new happy place. I want you to think of this like the place where you would come if you had 60 seconds to understand the financial health of your business. Your Xero dashboard is the place that you would come. So here you're going to find your bank balances, the invoices that are owed to you. You're going to find bills that you need to pay, a snapshot of your cash flow. And one of the very best bits about Xero is that you can customize your dashboard so that it works your way, showing you the numbers and reports that matter the most for you. So this is the Xero default layout. You can see here that we've got a bank account. I've got open banking. So Xero uses open banking to connect to your bank accounts. You can connect as many bank accounts as you like. Lots of our clients have multiple bank accounts. They use them for different things. They maybe also use a credit card account or a different type of account like Stripe. We can connect all of your different bank accounts in here, and open banking means that you don't need to do anything. All of your bank transactions are automatically feeding into Xero. So again, Xero becomes the place that you come. Rather than open a banking app, you can come to Xero and see everything all in one place. So Xero automatically will put your bank accounts up here. Again, it's got a secondary account where we can either import a bank statement or we can connect a bank feed. It's giving you a snapshot of your cash flow. So I don't know what happened in July for you, but this was great. But we can also see that while the income came in July, maybe the expenses have gone up in August. We can also see the account watch list. I love this feature. So this feature lets you pick the nominal codes that you want to pay attention to, and it will automatically in real time report to you what you've spent on that account this month and what you've spent year to date. So you can do it with income and expenditure. So for this dashboard, we've got sales, advertising and marketing, entertainment, and inventory. And so this business owner has curated Xero to show them exactly what they need to know. Again, when we're looking at the financial health of a business, we've got a few other elements here that are super important. One is invoices owed to you, and one is bills that you need to pay. You can see how all of this comes together to just be a really curated dashboard. Because if I was a business owner, I would log in and think, okay, I've got £6,500 in my bank account. I've got some items I need to reconcile. I can see my cash flows, like the general rule, but I can also see that I've got a big chunk of money owed to me, and I actually owe people a little bit less. So I can see into the future here. I can see what my cash flow is going to be like, and Xero can help me do that too. So as an overview, I can see what I've got coming in. I've got accounts watch list, and I've got a bit of a cash flow forecast from Xero for me as well. And then I've got expense claims. But if, as I'm showing you this dashboard, you think this actually isn't how I would want mine, do not worry. You can see up here at the top right hand side, we've got an edit dashboard button. And so we can move all of these widgets around. So if your brain is like, no, I need the banks at the top, or I need the banks on the right, they are so easy to drag and drop. And so it could be that you want cash at the top. So we're going to have your bank accounts on the left. We're going to have cash in and out. Then I want what's owed to me and bills I need to pay further up. So I could almost do it so that it's in order of my priorities, like banks, money in, money out, bills I need to pay, accounts watch list. And again, you can literally drag and drop all of these so that it just really fits with the way that not only your brain works, but also the way that you run your business. And you can also keep this super clean as well. So if you're like, I don't want to see expense claims on the dashboard and I don't want a cash flow forecast, we can just save the changes. And suddenly we've curated a very slick looking dashboard that only has the information on that you want to keep. So we can toggle the widgets on off, we can reorder them, we can reprioritize them. But I want you to consider your Xero dashboard the place to be for having a very high level summary of the health of your business. So now we understand what's going on within Xero. It's really important that I say any of the information that you see within Xero, all of these numbers are only based on the information that you have given Xero. What I mean by that is, if you log into your dashboard and you can see that you've got 29 items to reconcile, those are things that have happened in your bank, but we haven't yet told Xero what's happened in Xero. Anything that you're seeing here does not include anything that is unreconciled here. And so if I was building a financial well-being routine for you, I would make sure that you are keeping this number as low as possible at all times so that Xero is as up to date as possible at all times. And I would challenge you to reconcile your bank account before you pull data and pull analytics from Xero, or just bear in mind, if you are running reports, you need to be very aware of the fact that if there are any unreconciled items, Xero is getting pretty close to it, but it's not actually psychic. And so if things have happened in your bank and we haven't actually told Xero what's happened yet, it doesn't know. So if somebody had paid you one of these invoices, but you hadn't told Xero yet that the receipt that came in was for that invoice, it wouldn't know. And so this wouldn't be up to date. So step one in reviewing your information is to reconcile your bank. I'm going to show you how to do that in a sec. And then step two is to then pull data and analytics. You can absolutely pull data and analytics before doing that. You just need to bear in mind that anything that sits unreconciled won't be included in those transactions. So as part of your financial wellbeing routine, the next thing that we're going to do is tell Xero what is happening within your business. And by that, I mean creating and sending an invoice. The way that I describe the top levels of the tabs here and how many of these you have will depend on your level of Xero subscription. For example, payroll and projects sit in different categories, and so you may or may not have those too. And so I will explain the dashboard, business, accounting, and contacts because those are in most people's Xero functions. The way that I describe the business tab is this is the tab that we use to run our day-to-day finance function. The accounting tab is how we zoom out and we look at the week by week or month by month accounting function of your business. So within the business tab, one of the most impactful things that lots of people use Xero to do is actually to raise an invoice. And so I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So we're going to go to business, invoices, and we're going to click new invoice. When you're doing this for the first time, this is what I love, because I remember the moment that I did this within my own business and I really felt like I was running a proper business and it really felt like a lovely moment, was actually uploading my logo into Xero and seeing it on an invoice for the very first time. And so when you do this for the first time, you can put in your logo. Again, it gives you loads of options to just make sure that this looks exactly how you want it. We can also connect Xero to Stripe. And so Xero connects into payment platforms to make sure that you're getting paid faster. If you've ever received an invoice from somebody who uses Xero, there'll actually be hyperlinks to pay that invoice straight away. That's amazing because not only are you getting paid faster, but when people go through that option, Xero knows that you've been paid and can automatically support you in reconciling that transaction as well. So I've uploaded my invoice. I'm going to click save. And I am going to raise an invoice to ABC Furniture. I'm going to issue it today, 20th of August, and Xero has some really cool shortcuts. And so if your payment terms are 30 days, I can just type plus 30 into my due date, and it will automatically just add on 30 days. It will automatically allocate an invoice number. Again, if you are starting and you have a brand new business, you might not want to start from invoice number 1. So you can say to Xero, start from number 120. And it will automatically just add on numbers after you, so we don't have to worry about that at all. A reference, this is where we would put things like maybe a purchase order or somebody's name. Let's say I spoke to Sally. Sally placed the order. I'll put the reference as Sally. You can also create different branding themes. So if you maybe invoice for different things, if you invoice for special projects, you want certain invoices to look different. So I'm just going to use the standard branding theme. And then I'm going to raise an invoice to Sally. And so we have a few different options of how we raise our invoices. I'm going to raise a generic invoice for branding and marketing, and that's going to be an invoice of £2,000. I can then tell Xero where I want to code this to. It will automatically calculate everything else. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to talk too much about VAT. I want this to be really the high level elements of Xero, but please let me know in the comments if you want a specific video on how we can and should be handling the different VAT elements, all of the way through from setting up our Xero to running our Xero. But for the purpose of today, I'm not going to talk too much about VAT. So I've raised my invoice and I am going to click save. I have just saved and closed, but we can do things like email Sally straight from Xero. One of the best bits about sending invoices straight from Xero is you can actually get some enhanced analytics. So if I sent Sally this invoice straight from Xero and she hadn't paid on the due date and I emailed her and she said I didn't receive the invoice, actually Xero will tell you that the email has been delivered, opened, and she's opened the invoice. And so it can be really good if you're a small business and you need to get paid on time. It can be so helpful. So we've logged into Xero. We've told Xero that we've made a sale in the last few days. Now we need to update our bank statement. And so we're going to do the bit that I mentioned is super important that we do at the beginning, which is now we've told Xero what sales we've made. Now we need to tell Xero what's been happening in the day-to-day running of the business. And we're going to reconcile our bank account. So I'm coming back to my dashboard and I can see here that I've got 29 items to reconcile. So I'm just going to click into here. When I am training clients on how to reconcile Xero, I really try to get them to gamify Xero as much as possible. And what I mean by that is when I do bookkeeping for a client, if I logged in and saw 29, I would look at the time and think, ooh, can I do 29 bank transactions in under 10 minutes? And to be honest, I actually bribe myself with biscuits. So I normally have a packet of biscuits on my desk and say, like, for every 10 transactions, you can have a biscuit. And so just gamifying it as much as possible. I'm going to talk in a minute about how much AI Xero has built into it. And so through doing that, it really helps you to understand how fast you can actually get on top of your finances and how easy it can be to stay on top of them. So as we go through the bank statement, there is the core principle of this is that Xero is automatically pulling in your bank transactions from your bank into Xero. Through doing that, it already knows some information. It knows the date of the payment or the receipt. It knows who that payment or receipt is going from or coming to. It knows the amount, and it knows the reference that you've given it. And so Xero actually has AI-powered transaction matching, and this makes the bank rec very speedy. And so when we're thinking about using Xero, my biggest tip to you is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. The longer you take at the beginning to set up Xero and train Xero, the better it is. And I feel like this is the same with across all AI products. The more you teach it, the more it knows. And the more it knows, the more it can work with you. Whereas the first time you log into Xero, you won't get much green. And I'll talk to you about what the green means in a minute. You won't get much green. But the more you use Xero, the more it can work for you. And so if we ignore the green items, which is actually Xero's AI working for us, and we work here and we look at some of the ones that aren't green, the left-hand side of the Xero screen is showing me the information that it has pulled from my bank statement. The right-hand side of the screen is the Xero element of that bank transaction. And so if we take this as an example, on the 11th of August, Smart Agency, we paid them £4,500 with a reference. I can click on more details and it shows me almost the exact snippet from the bank statement. And so in order to tell Xero what that was, I need to answer 3 core questions. Again, I'm ignoring VAT for the purpose of this video. So I need to answer 3 core questions. I need to tell Xero who that was, what it was for, and why I spent the money. This is important for two different reasons. The first is the more information we give it, the more it will learn and remember. The second is the more information you put in at this point, the easier your process will be when you are working with an accountant at the end of the year. Because if I create a supplier called Smart Agency and I say that this is for some marketing and advertising work that they're doing for me, and I leave this blank, and then at the end of the year my accountant says, that was quite a hefty invoice that you paid, what was that for? And we're talking about this like 18 months after it's actually happened because my year is finished and then my accountant's doing the work. I'm not going to be able to remember exactly what that was for. And so the more information that we can give Xero at this point, not only is it going to learn and remember more, but also we are going to remember more when our accountant is dealing with us at the end of the year. So I'm actually going to tell Xero exactly what this was for, which was a consulting project for paid ads for Black Friday. Then if at the end of the year my accountant has a question, I'm like, oh, not only do I remember what it was, I remember the date, I know who it was, I know what code I coded it to, and we can go one step further. So as well as saying who, what, and why, which are the three things that we need to do on every transaction, we can also add details, and this is where we can actually upload, using this button here, a copy of the invoice to Xero, and then we can click Save. It goes green. Green means Xero saying, I've got all of the information I need and we can reconcile. We click OK. Once we've clicked OK, that's where the gamification comes in. We're now down to 28 items to reconcile. Before, this was 29. So allocating invoices to every single transaction will save you so much time. Again, one of the most frequent questions we ask our clients as accountants is, do you have a copy of the invoice so that I can double check maybe the accounting treatment, if I need to prepay something, defer something, accrue something. We just need to sometimes see the core records. And if you are doing this at this point, it makes it so much easier. So the more we learn and the more we teach Xero, the faster it gets in time. And so you can see here, I've already got some transactions that Xero is working out behind the scenes what's happening. So Ridgeway University have paid us using the reference 0035. And so Xero has picked up invoice 0035 and is saying, hey, on the 7th of August, you raised an invoice with the reference 0035. And 3 days later, the same supplier with the same name paid you the same amount with the same reference. Would you like to allocate them against each other? So when we see something that's green in Xero, that is Xero suggesting that we match them off against each other. You don't have to, and it doesn't happen automatically, but this is Xero suggesting it to you. So green means, would you like to match them off against each other? And okay means you saying yes. Exactly the same here. 10th of August, we made a payment. 10th of August, we told Xero we'd made a payment and raised an invoice with that supplier. And so I'm going to click OK. And you can see here, the more we do things, the better it gets. Green means there is an exact match. So green is Xero saying, hey, there is an invoice on the system that I would like to match against it. Would you like to click OK? And we click OK. You can see here that there's a different type of transaction where OK is appearing, and that's where it's not green. So green means there is an exact match. There is either a customer invoice or a supplier invoice on the system that it knows is in Xero. But there's a few different reasons why Xero would automatically say OK without it being green, and that's because it's thinking for us. So green means we've already told Xero there is an invoice, there is a customer invoice or a supplier invoice. It being okay without it being green is actually Xero thinking for you. So there are some types of transactions that will happen every month that Xero will then start to learn, remember, and predict. For example, bank fees. We pay bank fees every month to Ridgeway Banking Corporation. They're probably roughly the same amount, and the reference will always be the same. And so Xero is actually saying, hey, this time last month, you actually paid Ridgeway Bank, and you told me the customer was Ridgeway Bank, the what was bank fees, and the why was a bank fee. So Xero was saying, you have previously told me the who, the what, and the why. And so I'm not making it green because I don't know that it is, but I'm going to suggest to you that it's probably the same. And if it is, we can just click OK. So you can already see that in a few minutes, we've got this down quite quickly. And if you are the type of business that gets a lot of the same transactions every month, your bank rec will take you a few minutes. Then the other type of transaction that we can see the word OK appear is actually where we've got a rule. When I mentioned that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, bank rules are actually a way that we can create that system happening super smoothly. And we use bank rules where maybe something in the bank transaction changes every time. So it's not where Xero would be able to learn and remember, but we can actually tell Xero to learn and remember. And so we can see here that Xero is saying like, hey, there is a rule. You have told me what to do when I see transactions of this type. Would you like me to apply it? And so I can click view details. I can see what Xero is trying to do. So I have got a rule that when I spend money at 7-Eleven, the description is what I've told the description to be. I put the quantity of one, the price is what the bank statement says. I code it to general expenses, I've given it the tax rates, and I can click save. But the really good bit about bank rules are that it will always give us the option. It doesn't make it mandatory. So if I've got the same thing here and it actually wasn't the usual, I can just put don't apply the rule and I can go back to answering our 3 very straightforward questions of who, what, and why. So if we go back to the dashboard and we assume that I have got up to date for the period that I want to look at, I can now start to consider, now that I've got my bank up to date, what do I want Xero to tell me? And this is where we move from the dashboard and the business tab, which are the 2 tabs that we use to continue the day-to-day running of our business. That's why I like the business tab. And then we can move over to the accounting tab. The accounting tab is where we can start to look at month by month or week by week data that we've given Xero. So dashboard and business is where we give Xero data. And the accounting is where we can then leverage that data and start to run reports. So the 2 reports that I recommend every business owner look at, I'm going to say weekly as an accountant, but you might want to look at them maybe less frequently, fortnightly or monthly, are your profit and loss and your balance sheet. So if we go into the profit and loss, and let me know in the comments if you want dedicated videos on what is a profit and loss or what is a balance sheet. We can run a profit and loss report in Xero and it will default to this financial year, but we can change the date. I can say, I just want it for this month or this quarter. And again, it does learn and remember. So if I come into this report and I don't ever want this financial year, and I always run something like, I want this quarter compared with the previous quarter, Xero will also learn and remember this and it will start to default it. And again, if you wanted to do that quicker, you can just update your defaults. And so I've got this quarter and I'm going to compare it with the previous quarter. I'm going to click update. And so when I tell you, Xero is so customizable, we can literally get Xero to report to us in exactly the way that we want it to. So I am comparing the current quarter to the previous quarter, and this is good. This has been a good quarter. Our sales are up significantly. This is just a really good example of how you can manipulate the data to spot trends and to spot analysis. And again, we can see we've spent loads of money on advertising and marketing, which makes sense because the sales have gone up. I can see that the bank fees have gone down, so it maybe could be that I'm missing something or I need to go back and go through my bank transactions. And so comparing periods like this is a really good way of getting a high level overview of your business. Again, if I was a business owner, I would be running a profit and loss to plan and save for my taxes. Again, let me know if you want a specific video on exactly how to do that. But these are the reports that I would be running to deeply understand the health of my business. And so I'm also going to do exactly the same on the balance sheet. I'm going to run a balance sheet. I'm going to tell it the date that I want it to go up to. And so I might want it to do it as of today. And I'm going to review the balance sheet. I'm going to see if it all looks right, if it all feels right, if it makes sense, if the process I've just gone through with Xero of understanding exactly what's happening is reflected within this report. And then finally, the final tab that I want to show you is the contacts tab. And the contacts tab is an incredible place for managing customer and supplier contacts and checking their payment status. So there are 2 core types of contacts that we have within the contact section. We have customers and suppliers. You can also have it where you can use them for both. For example, if I'm an accountant and I have a client that does advertising and marketing, I can raise invoices to them for accounting services, but they can also raise invoices to me for advertising and marketing. And so you can actually have it where it works both ways, so you can see this is a really good example. You owe them and they owe you as well. So the contacts tab is an incredible place for, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we want Xero to be the one place that you go to for all of your information. That extends to the contacts tab. So you can see here that we've got a customer who owes you some money, all of their contact details are up to date. We've got their email address, their phone number, their mobile number, their address. We can see a history of our relationship. The name has been changed, some email addresses have been changed. This is the core place that we keep everything all in one place. We can also upload files. So if you maybe need a contract with somebody before you start working, if you've got purchase orders, or maybe they have given you some demos or images in relation to the work that they're doing for you, this is the place that you will store all of it. That extends exactly the same to customers. And again, on this drop-down list, we can actually jump between customers and suppliers. So we can have a full contact list of everybody, or we can just go to customers and just go to suppliers. And so we can do things like credit control from this list. We can merge different lists. We can archive contacts. And so we want this contact list to be up to date at all times. You can see that this demo data, this customer data is really, really up to date. Everything here is super tidy. It's a very short list of customers. Everything is up to date. And if I was scrolling through this list to work out who I need to contact quickly, this is exactly the list that I would be going to for everything else. And so I feel like I've covered off the dashboard, the business tab, the accounting tab, and the contacts tab. And I really wanted this to feel like a high level tutorial of really how to get confident quickly with Xero. And so let's take a bit of a deep dive into why actually people do love Xero, because there are lots of different accounting softwares available. I'm also going to talk you through the cost, the plans, how to work out if Xero is right for you, and some extra juicy information. So let's dive in. So I mentioned earlier that as an accountant, I have worked with hundreds of business owners who used to feel very overwhelmed by spreadsheets, keeping physical copies of receipts, and with Xero, they've actually gained back hours every month. They reduce mistakes with their bookkeeping, and it stopped those Sunday night scaries over what is due to HMRC. Personally, I love being able to track invoices in real time and know exactly what is coming into my business. It's actually like having a part-time bookkeeper in your pocket with Xero. One of the most common questions that I get asked whenever I talk about accounting software is how much does it cost? And Xero offers a range of subscription plans to suit different needs. There is a simple starter option and more advanced plans with features like multi-currency, project tracking, and payroll. And you can start with the plan that suits you now and upgrade as your business grows without losing the data that you've already given Xero. I've partnered with Xero to give you guys a very special discount on Xero. So you can use the link in the description of this video to unlock your special discount. Another question that I get asked is Xero right for everyone? And honestly, the answer is no. If you don't want to use tech within your business, or you are set on paper-based systems, it actually might not be a good fit for you. But if you want everything in one place, you want to be connected to your accountant, your bank, and your business in real time, Xero can genuinely change how you run your business. If this video has helped you to see how Xero works, it's helped you to feel more confident, the next step is learning really how to make it work for you. Within our accounting firm, StriveX, we run tailored training sessions for business owners, whether you are brand new or switching from another system. And so I will also include some links below for you to book some training and see if you'd like to become a client of our accounting firm. And so if you are ready to dig deeper, I've got a whole playlist of Xero tutorials to get you started. And if you can't find the video that you're looking for, please let me know in the comments, because I can add that to my list and make it as a future video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe this video. It is the very best way to support me as a creator. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and I hope to see you again very soon.